What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Real Estate Moguls. My name is Findlay-Shirras, and on today's show, we have the CEO and founder of the Rachel Adams Group at Keller Williams Realty, currently ranked top 1% of all realtors in the Sacramento County. In 2015, she was also named Wall Street Journal's top 1,000 agents in the United States. She is a coach for agents on how to build a team. She also hosts a female empowerment mastermind and has a program called Lost to Found in 90 days. So let's get lost in conversation. And I'm sure at the end, we will find the light and find out how to be more successful with Miss Rachel Adams. Thank you, Rachel, for being on the show.
You're welcome. Yeah, this is going to be fun. I'm excited.
So for those who don't know who you are, why don't you give a quick, 2-minute story of, who you are, all the different businesses that you do. I know you do a few, and kind of how you got to where you are today, being a team leader and a coach and speaker and all that stuff.
For sure. So first off, thanks for having me. I'm excited. So I got into real estate in February of 2012. I was actually working a full-time job at the time, and I was at a real estate office, unlicensed. At that point in my life, I was actually in a really unhealthy place. I was in a really difficult marriage. My ex-husband was 80% disabled and 50% was PTSD from the Marine Corps. So home life was challenging. And then I'm at the office, and it's my job to be like the shiny face for the real estate agents because, they're coming in and we know it's not always sunshine and roses. So I knew that I didn't like where I was at in my life. I also didn't know how to change it. And I heard about this class called Bold that was coming to Keller Williams. And I was told it was kind of like a Tony Robbins personal growth thing. And I hadn't really dug into the personal growth world very much. And yet I knew I didn't like where I was at. So the class was coming in 3 months. I decided I was going to fast forward, get my real estate license because it was for real estate agents. And plus, I was paycheck behind a paycheck at that point in my life and borrowing money from everyone just to make ends meet. And so, I knew that all these commission checks coming in were way more than I was making. And I was like, if I just had money, everything would be better. All you need is money to change your life. Right. And so I go to Bold, and it was the first step of it. It's like an 8-week course. And I heard a quote that rocked my world. It was change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change.
So, I love
it. Good. Yeah.
Change. Who said that?
It's just Diana Kokoska. She's the founder of Bold. She wrote it.
Okay.
So it was change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. So I was in the scarcity mindset where I'm I can't quit my job. It's safe. I know how much money is coming in. And then I was like, but what if I adopted this abundant mindset, right? Then there's no cap on how much money I can make, and I get to create my own destiny. So I ended up, it was kind of crazy. So the room clears out, and I'm sitting there in this chair by myself, and I have tears streaming down my face because I'm I have to take this course, but it's $800 and I was capped, no money anywhere. And this home inspector came up to me, and he called on the office I worked at, and he was like, hey, Rach, what's going on? I was like, you know what? I'm just going through some stuff right now. I'll figure it out. And he was like, is any of it financial? And I was like, for sure. Yes. And he said, okay, well, we're going to do a couple things. He was like, one, I'm going to pay for you to go to Bold. And I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot take your money. He's like, it's not going to be a gift. It's going to be a loan. You can pay me back $200 out of every closed transaction. He's like, and 2, you're going to join Keller Williams. And I was like, whoa, bro, kind of aggressive. Let me, he was like, and then when you join Keller Williams, you're going to learn about the win-win culture. So I hope you know where to send your home inspections. And I was like, fair enough. So I did my due diligence. I interviewed 3 other different companies, and then I ended at KW. And so that was February of 2012. I started my business super old school. I literally door knocked 200 doors a week and did 3 open houses a week. So 200 doors knocked each week, 3 open houses a week. I did not close my first transaction for the first 4 months. And yet that first year I was able to sell 39 homes. So you can imagine the grit, and your why has to be pretty dang big to be able to not sell a house for 4 months.
What was the, quick divergent on that. What was the numbers result? So 200 door knocks, 300.
300. So it was 200 doors knocked, 3 open houses a week, and then sold 39 houses the first year.
And directly from those 2 activities.
Correct. Yeah. Because I didn't have, and I mean, we can dig into that later too. I've got all I love it. It's so much fun. And then the next year sold 109 houses and then 123. And that's when I hit Wall Street's top 1,000. I'm now 7 years into the business and I'm located in Northern California. So I'm in El Dorado Hills. So it's near Sacramento. I've got a team of 15 people. I'm still in production. I'm the lead listing agent. So I went on listing appointments this week. And I also became a real estate coach because I realized that there was so much that I'm passionate about teaching. So I became a coach and I love what I get to do there. And then I also speak all over the country. So normally I speak about 60% of the year traveling. And then I believe in multiple streams of income. And so I was always the absolutely no, get out of my face girl when it came to network marketing. And then I heard about this luxury hair care brand and one shampoo kind of changed it. Now we have 5,000 people on our team. And so I have Money, which is the company. So it's a pretty wild ride. And then my biggest adventure coming up is I'm like 3 weeks out from having a little
look at that.
Baby. So I have this massive belly on my 5 feet tall body and I don't really know what to do with myself.
The next member of the team.
Yeah, right. It's our newest agent. So yeah, that's kind of my background.
You definitely have good hair.
Thank you so much. I feel like it's an important part of my world.
Before we get more into the business, I actually want to go into the home life.
Yeah.
And doing everything that you do and having a good home life. A lot of agents struggle with that. What are some of the habits, the rituals, the routines, the things that you do to keep it great?
So when I met my husband, Ryan, so after I got divorced, I wrote the book and I really it was for me more about like finding my purpose and like why I did what I did. Cause for those 3 years to hit Wall Street's top 1,000, like I just grinded. Like there was no boundaries in my life. Like it was just like work. And, when I met Ryan, it was the first time that I realized like there was more to life than just working. And one of the things is like our cell phone, right? This can be our absolute best tool and it can be our worst nightmare. And what I realized when I met him is that my business was running me and I was not running my business. So one of the first things I did is I created, I'm like a passionately love scripts, like script practice is my jam. I love coming up with them. So I came up with a really good script to set boundaries with my clients around timeframes, which I'm happy to share with you if you want.
Please.
Yeah. So we do things called tech time out where like we have this chair and a half in our house we call the love chair. When we come home, we sit in the love chair and there's no cell phones and we just get to connect and talk about our day and ask questions and like, just connect with each other. And there's no cell phones at the table too. That's a really big thing for us. We, mornings are really special. That's kind of we start, like, I'm such a believer in how you start your day really affects the rest of it. So we will make breakfast together. Usually get some kind of a workout in. Orange Theory is our favorite thing when I'm not pregnant. Have you tried Orange Theory before?
I have not tried it. I've heard about it though. I heard it's really cool.
It's so good. It's so good. It gave me like the best. I had abs for my wedding and I was like, where did you come from? Surprise.
All right. There's a little testimony. Good. Okay. What else do you do?
So breakfast, we do our workout, right? And then we sit down and we have like different things we do, but we have these things called mindfulness cards. And it's just, you pull a card out and there's like curiosity and joy. And then there's like connection and calm and whatever you're feeling that morning, you take one out and we just read it. And then we talk about how it resonates with us. So it's always something like to kind of slow us down. Cause especially being in real estate, we are in a reactive business, right? And so it's like, you have really good intentions. You're going to lead generate that day. You sit down, you're ready to go. And then the appraiser calls and the lockbox not put on or whatever. And it's so easy for us to just react because someone needs us. It's another sale. It's another buyer. And yet if you're always reacting, you can never actually focus. So we have really worked on being proactive in our business and in our life and in our marriage versus reactive. We went to a pre-marriage retreat before we got married because we said, people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and planning months and months and months for their wedding, their one day. but then they don't prep for the rest of their life as a married couple. I'm like, that's so backwards. So we did a pre-marriage retreat, and once a year we do a different retreat just to connect in our marriage, just to keep that number one, because most people have, their priorities totally skewed.
What are some of the retreats you've done?
Okay, so there's one.
Totally getting ideas, by the way.
Yeah, no, it's good. So there's one it's called Hold Me Tight.
Okay.
And have locations all over the place. And then what is the one that we did? Our pre-marriage retreat was so good. Oh golly, I can't think of the name of it. So it was through like a Catholic church, but it wasn't super religious. Neither of us, I'm Jewish, neither of us are Catholic, but it was suggested to us, and like, gosh, it was so good. But yeah, Hold Me Tight is one I would definitely encourage you to go to.
Cool. These mindfulness cards, is that like a brand, like you buy them or something?
Yeah, we got them. We were in, where were we? We went to Kauai. I don't remember. We travel all the time. We were at some cool location, and we saw these mindfulness cards at their bookshop. And then we were like, let's get them on Amazon, because I like immediate gratification. And so Amazon primed it, and 2 days later, we're happy campers.
Cool. Well, those are some cool insights. I hope everyone's listening, because if the relationship ain't going well, the business ain't going well, or at least it will eventually crumble. So,
and then one thing too, like I don't know, we have obviously a lot to talk about today, but I have a pretty jamming YouTube channel. So if they go to YouTube/Rachel Adams Lee, and I can give you the link for this too.
Yeah.
There is a video that I did on how to set boundaries with your clients, and it's a full script they give you on how I set the boundary. And the way that my videos work is like, you'll watch the video and you'll hear me do my spiel, and then you're like, oh, I'm trying to take notes. Don't worry about taking notes. If you go to the body of the video, it's going to have the script written out for you, so you can just
copy and paste. Awesome. Yeah. Good for you. Love it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the business a little bit. So first, why did you build a team? What was your reasoning for wanting to build a team versus just be a solo agent, be a top producer, or just be on someone else's team?
Yeah. So, when I got into real estate, I realized that like I was one person, and I can help one family, two families, a few families at a time. One of the first things is I always heard people say like, I'm going to sell this many houses. I'm going to sell this many houses. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm going to sell this many houses too. And then they would talk about how much commission they were making. And I realized that there was I was 26 years old when I got in, and there was such a negative rep around real estate agents. They were like, oh, they're like used car salesmen. And I was like, okay, what is this about? And I realized that most of the agents out there, they weren't real estate professionals. They were real estate agents. And I was like, I want to be a real estate professional. And there's a difference here. And so I have made my entire model around not what I can get, but what I can give. How can I add value to my community, to my database, to my buyers and sellers, to my referral agents around the country, right? And so one of the things is I went to this big real estate convention. So Keller Williams has two. One's called Mega Camp, one's called Family Reunion. And I remember being like a brand new agent, and I was sitting in this audience, and I'm seeing these agents selling like 500 houses, 1,000 houses. And I was like, oh my gosh, like what's the difference between them and me? Like, oh, they have a team. I got this. I'm going to go home. I'm going to hire all my friends, get them to get their real estate license, and come work for me. Notice I didn't say work with me. I said work for me, right?
Uh-huh.
So whole first team imploded. And I was like, okay, that clearly didn't work. So I got to learn a lot there, which I'm sure we'll dig into. But the main thing for me was like, I had a cap on how many people I could work with, because what happened is I was doing my job, and I'd get one escrow, two escrow, three. So there was a point where I had 7 escrows at one time. It's the first time it happened. And I forgot to install a lockbox. And the seller was really upset because an open house was coming. So the open house agent gets there, they can't get in. And I feel like an idiot. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't do the lockbox. And then there was another transaction where I forgot to send out disclosures. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so for me, it was more about the standard of service. And once I started to drop the ball, I realized I needed help.
Got it.
So that first year I was at 39 transactions with myself and a transaction coordinator. And then the next year I put on one more key hire, and that took from 39 to 109.
Okay, I want to go deeper on how do you know when a team leader subconsciously believes that people work for them versus with them?
Great
If you were to
question.
look at two leaders,
Yeah.
what would be some of the things that you would see that go like that leader believes everyone works for them, and you go over here and be like that leader believes everyone's together working together?
Good question. And it's actually a really simple answer. And this is going to sound really funny. One of them will know the name of so take an agent they have on their team. One of them will know their agent's dog's name and one of them won't. So that sounds really simple, but this is the thing. When someone builds a team and people work for them, they say, guys, we're going to sell 200 houses this year. We're going to sell 200 houses. Okay, Jimmy, Bob, and Sally, we're going to sell 200 houses. And Jim, Bob, and Sally are like, okay, yeah, we're going to do that. It's going to be great. And then Jim, Bob, and Sally are frustrated because the leader might not be leading by example and doing the things they said they do, or they don't respond to emails in time or whatever. They're really intentional about getting their face on the sign and their face in the magazine, and they talk about their team all the time. And when they get an award, they say how great everything is and how wonderful they are. Now, the agent who works with you, right? The team leader who works with people, like I call all my agents on my team my partners, especially at appointments. What happened is my whole first team imploded because I was that first agent. I was like, you guys, it literally was 200 was my number. I was like, we're going to sell 200 houses this year. It's going to be so great. And the whole first team imploded. And I realized that I did a total disservice to these people because I never asked them, how many houses do you want to sell? How much money do you want to make? And when you make that money, what is that going to do for you and your family? And I remember the dog example because one of my agents was so upset that I did not know her dog's name. And she talked about him all the time, but I was just so go on the goal that I didn't stop to get to know my people. And it was such a good lesson for me because they want okay, this is the main thing that I've realized. If someone's going to work with you, they're going to ask themselves three things. Number one, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Number two, can you help me? Can you help me? And number three, do you care about me? Right? And you want the answer to all those things to be yes. And I think that in the beginning, a lot of people, when they have a team, it just sounds cool. Like, oh, I'm going to get a team. I'm going to do this. But you don't have any standards that you represent. And the bottom line is you don't set expectations. And so when my whole first team imploded, I was like, oh my gosh. First off, I had a good cry session. And then I realized this is such an opportunity for me because I really wanted to be a team leader. So I poured myself into leadership and looking for mentors that ran teams, but ran them at a really high level. And I literally, it's almost like you have a piece of paper and you draw a line down the sand. And it's one side is this is what you can expect from me. And the other side is and this is what I expect from you, and setting the standard, because most people on a team, right, they're 1099, they're not your employees. So I can't say you have to be here 5 days a week. You have to do 3 open houses. But I can say a standard on the Rachel Adams Group is we do 3 open houses a month. A standard on the Rachel Adams Group is we report our numbers 5 days a week. You know what I mean? And so I think that the people on your team, when you actually ask them, where do you want to be 1 year from now? And what does 5 years from now look like? And how can I help you get there? And if they say 5 years from now, I want to have 2 investment properties, then you sit down with them and you say, okay, what are the price points you think you want that house to look like? And okay, so then your rent's going to be this much money. Okay, so when you have that much money, where are you going to spend that money on? Or are you saving? And just asking questions. They want to know you care. And that for me was the big difference.
Where do your agents report their numbers?
Yeah, so we have a Google sheet. It's nothing sexy. It's a Google sheet it's a drop-down menu that my admin created. And we're 5 days a week, they're reporting their numbers. They're saying how many hours they did lead gen, how many doors they knocked, how many open houses they held, how many appointments they set, how many contracts they wrote, how many escrows they closed. And we're tracking all the numbers, right? And what's cool about it is it holds them accountable. but I'm paying for leads as well on the team, right? So one of the benefits of being with the team is we pay for leads as well. But it's like, if you're not doing the things you need to do, such as your door knocking and your open houses and your social media posts, because we have like legit social media addendums for our team because it's such a big leg of my business.
Yeah.
If they're not willing to do what they need to do, I'm not going to reward them with my hard-earned leads, right, that I'm paying for. Or when I work with primarily listings, so I give my buyer leads to the team. But if they're not reporting their numbers, their leads are turned off.
Yeah.
So it has to be the win-win,
Yeah. What else, when you think about other people who want to start a team, build a team, scale a team, some of the best practices, some of the principles that you know that if you had to do it all over again, these are the things that I would do?
Oh my gosh. Okay. I could talk about this with you for like 6 hours. So one of the first things I would say is when you bring people on, so first off, to bring someone onto your team, a lot of times people are like, where do I find the agents? Like, how do I do that? In the beginning, I just was like posting on Facebook, like, who do you know who wants to get into real estate? And then I realized that I have people that I've worked with in the industry for a long time who know me, who trust me, and who kind of like get my vibe, right? So I reached out to title companies that I work with, lenders that I work with, home inspectors, termite inspectors. And I basically say like, hey, Grant, like, you and I have worked together for 4 years now, and I really respect the way you work. You're a vendor that I love being in partnership with. And I feel like, I wanted to kind of get your opinion on this because I'm actually going to be growing my team and I'm looking for an awesome buyer's agent. And I know that in the termite industry, you work with a lot of different agents. And I was just curious, in your experience who do you know that I should know? Is there any agents you've worked with that you feel like really would suit, the culture of my team and that you think could be a really good fit? Maybe they're not happy where they are, or maybe they're just looking for a new opportunity. I mean, Grant, I really respect you and your opinion. So if you can think of anybody, like, it would mean the world to me if you send them my way. Boom. Drop my.
You've said that a few times.
Right. So it makes your and my relationship even deeper because you're like, wow, she really, like, I'm in termite, but she really respects me enough to call me and ask my opinion. Right. And then I also will follow that up with a text message and a handwritten card a few days later. So like the follow up, even for my partners, when I'm looking to build I call it building my bench, but when I'm building my bench for my business, that's step one. Then when you get your people in, one of the things that is so incredibly powerful is the interview process. Because most of the time when you're interviewing someone, you sit down with them, you like them, and you're like, yeah, I feel like they'd be a good fit. Like, I'm going to bring them on. And then you don't actually do your due diligence, and that person has like some shady past, or maybe they don't make some ethical choices, but you don't know that because they're putting their best foot forward in the one interview. Mm-hmm. So we have kind of like a more intense interview process. So first they do a one-on-one with me, and it is for me to kind of feel them out. If they get through me, they go to my leadership team, which is my senior agent on my team, who's my director of sales, Patrick Smith, and then my husband, Ryan Lee. He's our productivity coach, but he's also the president of the company. So they do a leadership interview with us. Then if we like them, they do a group interview with the team, because I want the team to feel like they have ownership and that their opinion matters. So we do a group interview. And then after that, we do something called the life story. And then we check references. And we're looking for, like, the life story is amazing. People cry in it, like, but you're looking for patterns. You're looking for evidence of success, right? That they're always earning more money, not less. And we ask them any major milestones that they've had in their life. And I will tell you, we brought a guy on one time who was married and have kids, never talked about him, never brought them up in his whole life story interview. And I was like, red flag, and it ended up being a red flag for us. So the interview process is really important. And then the last piece I would say, which this probably is the most time consuming and the most powerful, is how you onboard somebody. It took me 6 years to create what we have now, but I can send you what it looks like. We literally have a 90-day onboarding system, and so it's basically like there's 6 sessions, and let's take, for example, buyers. So one of the sessions is all about buyers, and we talk about buyer objection handlers, the buyer consultation process, the buyer pre-qualification question, the most commonly asked questions from buyers, right? So it's a whole process on how we work with buyers, even all the way to like submitting your offer. And that's a session you're going to go through. So I have every one of those sessions are done on video. I pre-recorded them and they're all saved in Google Drive for us. And then they also get a workbook to download with the video. Now, they have to get through session 1, and there's milestones they achieve on day 30, 60, 90, such as in their first 30 days, they are previewing 50 houses. Like, it might seem little, but I never did that. My previewing houses was with paid clients. And I always tell my agents, we do not practice on paying clients, right? Mm-hmm. So we have these milestones, but what's really cool is, say, Grant, like, we're done, you've graduated, everything's solid, right? And then 5 months later, you have this big luxury buyer coming up and you're like, oh my gosh, what if they ask this? Well, the training's done. So you can literally go in Google Drive, which you have access to as an agent, type in buyer, and everything that I've ever trained you on buyer-wise comes up. And so what's cool is it is constant education for the team, but I got to leverage my time back. Yep. Because in the beginning, I was like, okay, it's going to take 6 days to join the team. So we sit down, and I give 6 days to bring someone on.
So I got two things I want to ask.
Yeah, go for it.
Was there anything that you did in your hiring and recruiting process in the past as you were trying to figure out the best way to do it that did not work? Is there anything that you used to do that did not work? What were some of those things that did not work?
I hired me every time. Like, I went through admin like they were like water, because I was like, oh my God, she's cute. We could totally go shopping together. And they're like high eyes, right? They're like, oh, shiny object, instead of like, I love paperwork and systems and details. So I got my admin, I got fired. My coach fired me. I have a real estate coach. He fired me from hiring my own admin. He's like, you can't hire you. So my admin hires their own admin now.
Cool.
I signed the check. And what else? Yeah, definitely the hiring process. And then not do like rushing it. Like, I needed someone, so I'd hire out of pain. And then I would sometimes skip some of the process because I just needed a body. And then that body ended up costing me a heck of a lot of money and time, because they weren't the right fit for the team.
Now, you created this great onboarding process, and I know I still continue to improve my onboarding process, 1 for employees and 2 for clients. Yeah. And it's taken time to put that stuff together. So how long do you think it's taken?
Well, my 90-day onboarding took me 6 years, but it was only because I wanted to elevate the type of person we brought on, and I wanted more of my time back. And that was the thing. Like, people look at me from the outside and they're like, oh my gosh, you're so busy. You have 4 companies. Like, how do you even, you're married. Like, how do you do all this? I'm like, we have connection time every single night. I don't work weekends. Like, it's just, I always hear about that life by design, right? And I heard that early on, and I was like, what is a life by design? And I was like, oh, okay, to me, and it's different for each person, but it's doing what you want to do, when you want to do it, with who you want to do it with. And so every decision I made was like, how can I get more time? What does that look like for me? And the onboarding thing, I was like, I keep doing these trainings for these agents, and they either, sometimes they stay, sometimes it doesn't work out. But what I liked about the 90-day thing is it's a cutoff. So they have 90 days for us to see if it's a fit. And we do the check-ins on 30 and 60 and 90. And like, one of the emails that goes out on day 30, if they don't respond to that email, that's a really good indicator of they're not going to be a fit for the team, because they're not respecting my admin's time and they're not respecting the process.
Is that what that lost to found 90-day thing is? Is like basically your onboarding process in the course?
No, the lost to found is totally different. It's all personal growth.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that was like a whole.
Have you ever thought about putting your onboarding process into a course and offering it to people?
I've thought about it. I told my husband the other day, I'm like, this is my legacy. Like, this to me is how you build a rock star agent from the ground up, So I am going to be re-recording them all, because when I first did it, I just put like literally like I have like a stand, and I put it in this room, and I didn't know enough about lighting or anything yet. So I'm just like talking, and I have agent specific names in there, and things change with admin. So I am going to be re-recording the whole thing and making it very generic. But I told my husband, I said, at some point I'm going to sell this, because I feel like it's such a need, there's such a need for this.
You totally, it would elevate the quality of agents, which is so important for this industry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about lead generation. So you guys do lots of homes, you generate lots of leads. What are all the ways that you generate leads, and how would you rank them from like, this is where the most comes from? And
I would say database and social media are my top two lead generators, which I can dig into those with you.
Yep.
So so database and social media, and then we'll talk about the other stuff, but those are the two I'd probably want to dig in a little.
Yep.
Door knocking and open houses. We have online leads.
You have which leads?
Online leads.
Through what?
So we have Boomtown, Realtor.com, and Zillow.
Okay.
Those are the three that we pay for.
And anything else?
Business to business.
Like referrals from other vendors kind of thing?
Yeah, sitting down with, I have a whole plan I created around business owners. So I sit down with business owners, and it's 100% leading with them, asking about their business, learning what a perfect referral is for them. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? And then when you ask about them, they're undoubtedly going to ask about you. And so I have like our whole value proposition. And so, yeah, it's cool.
Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
Do you do print?
No. No
direct mailing, no print?
No, I mean, when I have a luxury listing that, like, we had one that was like, no one could sell it. And it's 1.75 and we sold it in 4 days, cash over asking. So I sent that one out because I was like, hey neighbors.
Uh-huh.
But otherwise, no, I don't do print. I did in the very beginning, and I just didn't see the ROI for me. Okay. I much would rather door knock it, and each agent on our team has like a local farm. And then, within that, there is training. I do training on for sale by owners and expireds. I have a couple trainings on YouTube about how I do that as well.
Yeah.
But I would say that's not a main source for us. It really is like the other one.
How would you break out 100% of the pie? What percentage database versus social media versus door knocking, open houses, online leads, and business to business referrals?
I would say.
So database, 100%?
So social media for me is like over 50%.
Really?
For sure. Yeah. And
we'll dig into that in a sec.
Yeah. And then database ties into social media. The way that I do those work really well together. Mm-hmm. And then open houses and door knocking is probably about like 25% of what we do.
Okay.
And then everything else is a little piece. So like there's the business to business partnerships in there. I work with the real estate investor to help them out, selling their listings. I do for sale by owners and expireds.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dig into the database and the social media.
Yeah.
Which social media is your database, just a different platform. What do you do on social media that allows you to build your business off it? Because I bet you some realtors are like, what? I have not figured out this Instagram thingy.
Yeah. Okay. So first off, so I know we're recording this. Is this going to be video and audio or just?
Yeah. Video and audio.
Yeah. I can show you this because this is like really helpful. So one of the things, so I'm going to kind of talk about the two of them together because it really is helpful. But one of the things is when I got into real estate, people, again, it was about that what you can get mentality, right? And so I was door knocking and I was doing all these different things. And every time that I would hold an open house, I would say, come see my open house, come see my open house. Now it wasn't my listing, but on social media, perception's reality. And so everybody was like, oh my gosh, who the heck is this blonde girl? And how does she have so much business, right? She's probably good at what she does. And so that was like my first kind of like indicator of that there's a lot out there that I could sort of tap into with social media. And what I like about social media is like back in the day, right? You door knock on one door, have one conversation. But with social media, you can talk to thousands of people simply with the click of a mouse. And I wanted to be really intentional about what I talked about. So first thing that I did is I said, all right, I'm going to post 5 times a week, right? I'm going to have a business page and I'm going to have a personal page. But 3 years ago, we sold 23 houses from social media. Year before last was 64. Last year was 117. And this is just from social media, right? So what I did is I said, if I'm going to post 5 times a week, I want to make sure that I can tap into all different types of people because people follow you for different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. And so I created 5, I call it my 5 social media passions. And so I believe in the 80-20 principle. So 80% of what I post about, it's what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm reading, what I'm eating, right? It's who I am, what makes me tick. 20% is going to be real estate. And I didn't want to make it so much that it was like, because I feel like whether you're on social media or you're in your email, you wake up in the morning and you look through your phone, and the first thing you do, like, let's use example for email. You look at your email and you go delete, 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 delete. And you're looking at, you're sifting to who you can delete based off who sent it to you. And reality is most real estate agents were completely deletable, right? Because we're talking about the 5 ways to get your house ready for springtime or how to clean your gutters. And they're like, I get it, right?
The gutters. Everyone wants to know about the gutters.
But I was like, what if it could be so much more fun than that? Like, how can I get them excited and engaged? So when I look at my 20%, right? When I look at what I'm doing for real estate, I was like, okay, I want to add value to them, but I don't always have to talk to them about buying or selling a house or investing in real estate. So I would say where to look at the fireworks on the 4th of July. Or in October, it's like the local pumpkin patch locations. Or at Christmas, it's where to look at the Christmas tree lighting locations. And so what I did is I took the year and I said, okay, I want to add value to my database and to my sphere. And so social media sphere, database, one thing, right? 33 times throughout the year. So what does that look like? And I didn't want it just to be my voice. I wanted it to be my team's as well. So we sat down as a team and we said, okay, who are we? How can we add value to the community? And what does that look like? And so what I'm showing you here is a breakdown. So we basically took the year and we said, okay, January, February, March, April, right? We took every month and we said, how do we add value to these people? 33 times throughout the year. Non-negotiable, 4 times a year, you're calling them, right? That's a given. And we talk to our database a heck of a lot more often than that. But like, for example, today, we just sent out a really fun little document to everybody, and it says where kids eat free. So we're sharing with them locally each day of the week where your kid can eat free, because that's adding value to their life. And I literally say to them, so like the email went out today to my database, and it said, the subject line is kids eat free, because I want something different. I don't want to be like, let's sell your house where your kids are going to eat. Like, no, kids eat free from your real estate agent. And they open it and it says, hey there, happy summer. Obviously, it's super important to me that I'm not just, here for all your real estate needs. I always want to make sure that I'm adding value to you in your life. This summer, there's a ton of fun places where you and your kiddo can go out to eat. But the best part is you can save some money and your kids eat free. Check out below, save this in your phone. Also, by the way, the market is hot. So if you're wondering how much your house is worth, we'd love to tell you, market is booming. If you're interested in purchasing, interest rates are still super low, so we can get you a great deal. And if you're renting, you might be able to own your own home for more than or less than you're paying someone else's mortgage right now, right? But we always have value in there. Mm-hmm. And what's so cool now is people, instead of like, oh gosh, what's she up to next? They're like, oh my gosh, so cool. What's she doing? And so people are excited to get on our mailing list. And yeah, I mean, we did a really cool event called Suits for Soldiers, where we partnered with the local Veterans Association. We're doing family photos in the park in October. So we do lots of things where, and we always partner with a vendor. So we always make sure that we're splitting our fees, because I like a good deal. But yeah, it's become this really fun thing where, I'm super passionate about engagement on social media. So I have a YouTube video that they're welcome to check out later, where I have like social media 101. It's my whole business model. I coach on it, but it's so fun. It's all fun because it's like you're connecting with people.
I'm amazed that you have a book and you have icons and photos. What is the whole book about? Is that like your guidebook, your blueprint for your team?
No, not at all. The Lost to Found is like the thing I just showed you, or like my book I wrote.
That thing you just showed me with the January, February, March.
Oh, yeah, this is our recruiting folder. So it has like our
I love it.
Yeah, this is my cute little team in the front.
That is what a true professional would create.
Yeah, and then we have like our org chart and just all the things, because when I'm sitting down with someone, I want to be really crystal clear of like the value.
Is that something that you created, like just you?
Like this is literally like value. It says like why to join our team. And then like lead sources, what I expect from them, and then what they can expect from me. So on our team, after 90 days, the average agent is selling 24 houses a year, which is 2 a month. And if you can't do that, you shouldn't be on our team. Like, it's not a fit for either of us.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want bodies. I want producing agents.
How big's your team right now?
15, but only, how many agents are there? I think 8 of us are agents.
Yeah.
Lots of admin support, marketing staff, video, all that.
All right. So the final question I want to ask you is to do with the teams, because there's a few different brokerage models that cater to teams.
Totally.
Keller Williams being one, EXP being another, and Exit Realty.
Yeah.
So have you been pitched those other companies before? If there's an agent out there like thinking about being with one of those 3 companies, because those are the residual-based companies, they're the team-based companies, the training-based companies, what would you say as to how they could think about that decision?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's really important to go to each office. I mean, I know EXP doesn't have necessarily offices because it's a cloud brokerage, but like, you need to figure out what you want in your business. And like, if you want, so the reason for me to join Keller Williams is it was a coaching and education company that happened to be in the business of real estate. Now they're much more tech-based and like cutting edge and all that jazz. However, for me, it was like, I wanted to learn as much as I could. I wanted to be a sponge. And so I think it's important for if you're thinking about going to different brokerages, interview. Talk to the different brokers, have a list of really good questions. What does coaching look like here for me? Is there someone I can shadow for a buyer consultations? Do you provide a buyer consultation? What do you provide? Like, what can I get what do I expect from you? And what do you expect from me? Right. And I think it's really smart to interview with different brokerages, ask about the splits. If you're planning on producing, I wouldn't get too hung up on splits, because I think sometimes you can be like, oh, I'm going to go here because they're offering me 90-10. But then there's no education to back you on it. So yes, you get a higher split, but you have no coaching to get you to even do a transaction. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I mean, I was sent a bunch of my friends went to EXP, like a lot of them. I've been sent the video. I stopped counting at like 38. I was sent the video like 38 times. And I think the thing that people fail to forget is they're still talking to a person. So you can't just be like, hey, Rachel, you sell a lot of houses in real estate. You can make a lot of money if you come over to this brokerage. It's like, hey, what do you want out of life? What does 1 year look like for you? 5 years? And you have to pour into these people. I could do a way better job at recruiting for Keller Williams and inviting people. When people ask me about my company, I'm super passionate about sharing why it's a good fit for me. And sometimes people leave, and that's okay. Like, whether someone's at the company, I have no hard feelings for anyone, because I feel like you're in a different place in your life in different stages and different seasons, and whatever works for you, like, good,
If you were to try to articulate, these types of agents are probably better suited for Keller. These types of agents are probably better suited for EXP, time of life. These type of agents are better for Exit. How would you label?
So I can't really speak for Exit, because that's not really big in California. At least where I'm at, it's not a big company where I haven't heard a ton about Exit, to be honest.
Yep.
We have like Sotheby's here. KW is really big here. EXP is pretty big here. I would say, like, if you're planning on producing, I think Keller Williams is a great place for you. But if you're hung up on the splits and stuff, I don't think it's necessarily the best place, because you're just going to be pissed off about having to pay a little bit of a higher split. But if you really want to plug in and get the education and the coaching and the technology, to me, there's no better place. And that being said, I have a lot of friends who are at EXP, and they're really happy there, and I'm happy for them. And that's a cloud-based brokerage. So you have to know there's give and take with each, right? You're going to have a little less of a split. You can do I think, what do they do? They're rev share there.
Yeah. I mean, There's a few different things they have in that plan.
Yeah. And so, and to be honest, like, I watched the video one time. I got sent it a ton. I watched it one time from someone I super respected. And I told him I watched it, and he was like, so let's sit down for the next step. And I just told him that it's not the place in my life that I'm going to be making a switch. My coaching's with, Keller Williams, and, for me, it's a really good fit. But I think do your due diligence, ask questions, talk to a lot of other people that are there, talk to people who left the company and why they left, either company you're at. And it's up to you to really do the digging. And then I like to look at Wall Street. I like to look at Wall Street's top 1,000 list, and I like to see where the top people in the nation are working. Because to me, that's like a lead indicator of what's going well. And
Yep.
that I like leaders lead by example. And so if you want to be a leader, you follow the leaders.
What excites you now in your life and in your business, apart from obviously having a kid?
Yeah, that scares me and is exciting.
What are some of the goals that excite you right now in your business?
Oh man. I I really want the people that are on. We just brought on some 3 killer agents. So with the baby coming, I have really like passionately dug into my YouTube channel and like hired this awesome guy to reface it. Like it looks. I'm very proud of it. I love video so much. So I really want to continue to build my YouTube presence and add value to people. I'm going to write another coaching program. So I'm excited about that. I don't know exactly the angle of it yet. My end game is to do real estate, relationship, and business coaching with my husband.
That's super cool.
Yeah, because he's a mechanical engineer and he's done that for 17 years. And when we met, he was traveling all over and he's this big regional salesman and I'm a real estate agent. And we really had to work to like immerse ourselves in each other's businesses and find out how we could support each other. Because dating a real estate agent is not for the faint of heart,
Mm-hmm.
And like every guy that I dated previously was like, oh, I want a strong, independent woman. And then they meet me and they're like, oh, wow, you're a lot. Like you're traveling. Where you make how much or whatever. But when I met Ryan, he was like, this is amazing. And how can we make it even better? And so it was super refreshing. And so I just think he adds so much value to my life. And so I want us to be able to help do that for other couples, and just respecting each other's boundaries and figuring out, because every couple has strengths and weaknesses. And so just figuring out how you can like mesh that together.
So how can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more and consume more of your content?
Yeah. So fastest place to snag me is on Instagram or Facebook. I'm under Rachel Adams Lee on both those places. And if you want to learn more about coaching, you can go to limitedtolegendary.com. And it's TO. So that's the whole program it's from limited to legendary, your fast track to becoming a top 1,000 agent. So yeah, Facebook, Instagram, limited to legendary. If you want to learn more about the network marketing side and have an additional stream of income, just shoot me a private message about that. Or I can even send you a sample of shampoo if you want to have the best hair day ever. But yeah, that's my jam.
All right. Well, I have 3 pages of notes, and I loved how we got into some cool topics I don't typically get into. So thank you so much for being on the show. And as always, guys, if you want to learn from other people who are crushing in the business and in their life, because it's so important to make sure that you're happy, healthy, wealthy, with not just yourself, but with some other people in your life so you can share it with, then subscribe to the YouTube show and the podcast, so you can be notified of all the other interviews I do with great people like Rachel. Thanks so much again.
So my
I'll
pleasure.
see everyone soon.